Hello, my fabulous bookworms. I hope you're having a great day. Welcome back to Reading Maria. So today as you probably know, I kind of started this channel on a whim and I realized I never scheduled like a November wrap up or like an official December TBR video. So this is me combining them because I'm a mess. But anyways, I was trying to think of the best way to do this. I think I'm gonna start with my least favorite and then go up to my most favorite, or what's tied to be my most favorite. Just keep watching and you'll get it. And just as a side note, if you see me looking this way, it's because Charlie's on my bed and I want to make sure he's sleeping, or like he's looking outside right now, so I don't want him to bark, but let's see how far I can get through this. I'm sure he'll bark at one point, but if he doesn't, I'll give him a treat. Okay, my least favorite books of the month was The Harpy by Megan Hunter. It's not that it was bad, it's just that it wasn't for me. I mean, it was good, it was interesting, like I was definitely intrigued and I felt interested enough to read to the end, but at the end of the day, like I don't care for it too much. You definitely have to be in a certain mood to read this book, and I was just not in that mood. However, I think it's worth keeping on your radar, or just keeping like in your general like knowledge of the book world or something like that. So basically this book is about a woman who realizes that her husband is cheating on her, and the beginning was very intriguing. Like right out from the bat, it starts off at a really high intense moment of the book, and then after that we kind of go through the stages that got to that moment. So maybe that's why I wasn't a fan of it. I don't know. Basically, it's like a game of I'll get you back. So he agrees to let her do 3 things to him to hurt him, and they won't divorce. So like the plot is good. I wasn't a fan of the characters. I don't know. It wasn't for me. But yeah, regardless, like I said, I think it's worth keeping on your radar if you really like literary fiction or these darker stories. Oh, and by the way, yes, Penguin Group Canada sent me this book, so thank you guys so much. Where do I put these? I think I will stack them, or maybe I'll just throw them behind me. So the second book I read was The Haunting of Ashburn House by Darcy Coates. This came to me in the spooky limited edition Once Upon a Book Club box, which, by the way, use code ReadingMaria10, you'll get a discount on single items, single boxes, month subscriptions, anything you want. So this book, usually Once Upon a Book Club, I really love their book choices. I think I've just been subscribed for a full year almost, and there was only like one book that I haven't liked so far. It's behind me. It is The Last Piece by Imogen Clark. But I think it's safe to say that we can add this one to that very small pile, just because, I mean, it was very spooky, definitely. I was terrified, but other than that, I wasn't a fan. Like the story was just blah. The characters were so annoying, like childish annoying. So yeah, that's my beef with this book. But I mean, then again, I did read Home Before Dark and I also wasn't a fan of that. So I don't know if it's just haunted houses that I don't like, or I just expect to be terrified beyond belief with these books that are marketed to be scary, and I'm not, surprisingly, because I get really scared with books sometimes. But anyways, yeah. So this one, I wasn't a fan because I wasn't truly scared. I was spooked. I just wasn't terrified or scared. Okay, getting into the books that I genuinely enjoyed. So this one, I don't know if you've heard of this. You probably didn't, but this is How to Pronounce Knife by Suvankam Themavongsa. This was the 2020 Giller Fiction Prize winner, which is a huge Canadian literary prize. She won $100,000 for this book, so hats off to you, girl. No. This book is about different immigrants trying to make their way in the world as immigrants. So whether it's language barriers, whether it is work-related issues or things like that. It was great. I really enjoyed every story, but there wasn't that one story that was like, oh my god, yes, like this is the story that makes this book a 5-star read. I didn't really get that from this. However, I really liked it. I think it definitely deserved to win the Giller. Thank God it won the Giller, because I would have been really annoyed. If you really want to learn what it's like to be an immigrant, If you really want to learn what it's like to be an immigrant and the kinds of experiences that immigrants go through, I highly suggest that you read this one. If I had to pick a favorite story, I would definitely choose the title story, How to Pronounce Knife. It was a strong beginning for the book, and it really set the tone of language barriers and other things that immigrants go through. So yes, please read this. You won't be disappointed, I promise. What book number are we on? The fourth book I read this month was The Lost Love Song by Minnie Darky. Yes, so Penguin Random House Canada sent me this. Thank you. It was a joy to read. It took me so long to read it though. I don't know why. Maybe I just was trying to force myself into a romance mood and I wasn't. Regardless, it was a good book. The characters mean something to you when you read this book. You know what I mean? Like, it's not just it's not just a romance story. It's a story about love and finding love, losing love. So yes, if you've gone through anything heartbreaking or just regular breakups, then you will really enjoy this book. Could it have been better? Maybe a little bit, but I mean, that didn't stop me from giving it 4 stars or 4.5, something like that. I can't remember. But yeah, so I think it's definitely a great book to read. If you can get this in your December books or even January, I think that would be great. Like, this book is perfect for around this time of the year. All right, so the next book I read it in 2 days, and I'll tell you why. So this is After Elias by Eddie Boudel-Tan. I actually just got a job at this publishing company, Dundon Press. So we were putting together our holiday staff gift guide, and I said this book, but then I'm like, maybe I should read it before I recommend it. So I read it, I loved it, it was really great. My only thing with this book is that the ending was so fast. It happened, I feel like, in 3 or 4 pages, which it's not my style, it's not my favorite way to end a book, but what comes in the book is really special. It is about a gay couple who are going to Mexico basically to get married, and Cohen is already there. Elias was just gonna work one last job as a co-pilot and fly to Mexico, but unfortunately the plane crashes, leaving Cohen kind of left around to pick up the pieces. And yeah, so the story is very sad. A lot of trigger warnings, so mentions of rape, possibly a very little bit of domestic abuse. So yeah, it's definitely a hard book to read, but it's a great book to read. I truly enjoyed it. Just, again, like I said, the ending didn't end as drawn out as I usually prefer in a book, but that's just my opinion. It doesn't matter. The book matters. The book counts. It's great. So yeah, read it. And the spine is pretty. It will definitely stand out on my bookshelves. So the last 2 reasons why I'm unable to choose a favorite book of November 2020. These books. So which one did I read? I read Grown first, so I'll talk about this one. Tiffany D. Jackson. I love her. She's one of my favorite authors. In fact, I am putting together a video of like my top 5 book recommendations. This one isn't in it, but one of her other ones are. And just, sorry, before I get into actually talking about the book, I am surprised that a lot of people have not read any of her books. I don't know why. They're great. Like, if you're really into hard-hitting YA, contemporary YA books that talk about real issues, then Tiffany D. Jackson is the author to read. Like, so many people, I posted a reel on my Instagram about ranking my favorite Tiffany D. Jackson books. I'll link it down below for you so you can go watch it. And like, I love them all. Sorry, disclaimer, I loved them all. But yeah, I was ranking them, and a lot of the comments were like, oh, I should read this author. I haven't read this author before, but like, why? She's so good. Okay, let me somewhat angry tirade / shoving this author down your throat rant over. Multiple trigger warnings. Let me read them out to you. So yeah, if you want to skip over. So yes, content warnings. Mentions of sexual abuse, rape, assault, child abuse, kidnapping, and addiction to opioids. This book is basically about 17-year-old Enchanted Jones. I'm horrible with names. Yes, Enchanted Jones. And she's an aspiring singer, and she meets Corey Fields, who is a legend in the music industry. And, you know, she gets caught up in that whole lifestyle, and but it's not as it seems because he gaslights her, he abuses her. So you have multiple trigger warnings. If you can read this book or any of her books, please do so because they're so good. She has such a great way of writing characters that will really get into you and will stick with you for the longest time. Characters, plot lines, everything. Like, you will think about her books for such a long time after. Like, I read this mid-November and I know that it's going to be one of my favorite books of the year. Watch for that video coming. What I really, really loved about this book is that it's Tiffany D. Jackson. I mean, I cannot say much more than please read this book, or at least any of her other books. Be aware of content warnings for them because they are really hard and stressful at times to read. I was so angry when reading this book. I couldn't stand it. I mean, not angry because the book is bad. I mean, I'm telling you the book is good, obviously, but I was just angry at the situation, the characters, the way things were dealt with, the way things happened. And yeah, so I cannot stress to you enough how important this book is. So I really hope you read it. I really hope you read all of her books. So yeah, don't let this be the first and only one you read, please. So that leaves me with When No One Is Watching by Alyssa Cole. I co-host a buddy read with Anne at Reading for the Weekend on Bookstagram, and this was our final choice of 2020. Oh my god, this book. I don't know why people don't find the fact that literally people can end somebody's life with a phone call, or you're followed, or you're given the wrong change at a store and you don't want to fight because you don't want them to call the cops. Like, I don't know how people read this and didn't find it scary. Sorry, I really went off on my Goodreads reviews, so yeah. I mean, I'm just so annoyed that people don't think that this was scary or it wasn't a thriller, because it is. I don't know what, look, it says a thriller. It's a thriller. But sorry, anyways. This book was literally the most intense thriller I think I read all year. I have a love, I really have not been into thrillers that much lately. I mean, I read really good ones, but I didn't read any that I was like, oh crap, this is it. This is my favorite of the year. So this is this one. Oh my god, I feel like I rant and rave too much. But as a side note, so this is published by HarperCollins, William Morrow. Ever since back in 2018, I read A Woman in the Window, that book by A.J. Finn, whatever it's called. Anyways, that book is the one that broke me. I did not read thrillers for so long after that. I didn't trust HarperCollins with thrillers because of that book. So yeah, anyways, I won't get into it. And then that New Yorker article came out and I was like, no wonder. But anyways, sorry, so off topic. But my point is, this is the book that has made me now trust HarperCollins with thrillers again. I didn't think that they were going to do it, to be honest. I've tried them, I've requested them once in a while, I've read them, nothing really clicked for me, but this book clicked. It's everything I wanted in a thriller. Very edge of your seat, very high intense. Sure, the ending was a little bit unbelievable, but who wouldn't want the Black woman at the end to deliver the final blow or be the hero of the situation? Or even the Black residents in the town, they saved the day basically, as opposed to the white dude, that was in the book. You know what I mean? This book is compared to Rear Window and Get Out. I have not seen any of those, so I'm sure they're right. I know a lot of people said that there were Get Out vibes from this book. If you've seen it, you'll probably like this book for sure. So what I really enjoyed about this book, it was just creepy. Between situations of our main character, Sydney, being followed, her secrets, her inability to trust, of course, it's all understandable and it is so good. If you like slow burns, definitely, but I wouldn't call this a slow burn necessarily. I would just say that It's a long, very long build up to an epic finale that is kind of unbelievable, but at the same time, who cares? I could not imagine the ending any other way. Like, this is so good. So I know you've probably seen this everywhere. It's great that you've been seeing this everywhere. If you haven't read it yet, I don't know. January is going to be 3,000 days long, especially if we don't have the vaccine yet. So I highly suggest just like add this to your January TBR. Like, it'll get you through at least 2 of those 3,000 days. All right, so that's my wrap up. So I read 8 books in November. Not the best month, but I am shocked that I read that much, to be honest. So on to my December TBR. For December, I want to keep it short, I want to keep it sweet, and I want to keep it kind of romancy. So one of the books that I really want to read this month is Ties That Tether by Jane Igharo. Beautiful cover. Again, like, I think it was a book of the month choice in the States, but it's paperback here, so it was cheaper. But I've heard great things about it. So this is about a Nigerian woman who falls in love with a man that her mother isn't really going to be a fan of. So it is an interracial love story between Azaire, a Nigerian woman, and Raphael, a white Canadian dude. Go Canada. I didn't realize that this book took place in Canada, so I'm happy. That's unexpected. Is the author Canadian? Oh my god, the author is Canadian. I had no idea. So I do have Canada on my TBR. Sorry, I'm really happy. I'm really happy. Okay. So yeah, this is about Azaire, a Nigerian woman who immigrated to Canada, and her father was dying. She promised him that she would marry a Nigerian man, and some mix-up happens. She ends up at a bar, meets Raphael, a white guy, like I said, and as they're dating, she wonders if she's losing a bit of her identity, I believe. So I think this is going to be a really good one. I can't wait to see if they stay together, if they break up, if she finds love somewhere else. Who knows? Yeah, but I know I'm going to love this book. So the other romance book I really want to read is One to Watch by Kate Stayman, London. So this one, I know a lot of people love this. Again, I think it was also a book of the month in the States. Oh gosh, that has so much influence over me. This is about a famous plus size model who has millions, I'm sure, of Instagram followers. And she basically ends up on a show that kind of sounds like The Bachelor to me, or I guess The Bachelorette. And she has to deal with public relationships, public romance, or public dates. So I think this is going to be, again, like a fun read. I have suspicions that this is going to make me belly laugh, so I'm excited to get started. By the way, I don't watch The Bachelorette or The Bachelor, so who knows, maybe if I read this book, I'd want to watch that show. On a more serious note, I didn't post about this one on Instagram because I just kind of made the final executive decision to maybe add it in as a maybe, but I really want to read The Lucky Ones by Liz Lawson. This is about the after effects of a school shooting. So there's 2 twins. One of them has been murdered in that school shooting. The other one lived. So the one who was left behind is kind of left dealing with that after effects of death, destruction, and just personal issues in her life. And on the other hand, you have the son of the woman who defended the school shooter in court. So that's pretty much all I know about this book. I haven't really seen this one around as much. I mean, I maybe saw it on Bookstagram like once or twice, but that's it. So yeah, I'm going into this blind, you guys. Wish me luck. I know it's gonna be a really tough one to read. Definitely a tearjerker for sure. I just know it by the little bit that I know of this book. So yes, any book that makes me cry is an automatic 5 stars. So this is a 5-star prediction. You heard it here first. All right, and the last book on my TBR is Bestiary by Ka-Ming Chang. Penguin Random House Canada was so kind to send me this book a couple months ago, and I'm gonna read it this month, I promise. I don't know too much about this one, I'm not gonna lie, but when it was first described to me a couple of months ago, I thought, yes, I need to read it. And now I forget that reason why I wanted to read this. But the beginning says, 3 generations of Taiwanese American women are haunted by the myths of their homeland in this spellbinding, visceral debut about one family's queer desires, violent impulses, and buried secrets. Okay, now remember, that's why I wanted to read this. Multi-generational secrets. Sold. keep an eye out for this one on my December wrap-up. I promise I'll be better and tell you more about it and my thoughts. Okay, so that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for sticking around. Don't forget to give this video a huge thumbs up, subscribe, turn the notification bell on, and let me know in the comments if you've read any of these books. If you don't want to read any of them, just let me know your thoughts on any of these, and yeah, let's discuss them. Get off your phone and go read a book.